Hey, what's up guys? Today we are answering your questions for February 2022. And so let's jump right in and answer some of these questions. You guys always submit really awesome questions. It's really fun to answer these, so appreciate everybody that submitted a question. All right, let's jump right in. Croatian Turtle Backyard asks, hello Greg, my question is, do hard and long winters shorten the lifespan of turtles? You know, I feel like some of the turtles that live the longest actually live in cold environments and go through extended winter periods and extended periods of downtime. You know, I can think of things like common snapping turtles in Canada and the extreme northern US. I believe there's also eastern painted turtles also go up in there. And you know, I wouldn't say that it shortens their lifespan. I think that the lifespan's roughly equal to turtles in other parts of the range, but I do have this feeling that some of the turtles that live the longest, box turtles, common snapping turtles, wood turtles, you know, they have long lifespans and they're living in places that have extended winters. And if you were to compare that to things like some of the cooters, some of the snappers down in, you know, like southern Florida, and then likewise, this also applies in Europe and Asia. I think in a warmer climate, you do have a faster growth rate, but at the same time, you know, that they're not really on like a rigid cycle the same way that turtles and tortoises are in colder or cooler climates. So I don't think it really matters, to be honest. I think that if it lives there and it's adapted to it, I really don't think it's going to affect the lifespan. They're going to have whatever their natural lifespan is. That's a good question. That's one that would be really good to pose to people that study those animals in those environments and then compare notes with people that study the same species in a different part of the range. I think that would be really cool, so I think you're onto something. Colton_Lyman4, does inbreeding affect turtles and tortoises, i.e. from the same clutch? You know, reptiles are interesting in that, you know, it's kind of the Jurassic Park life finds a way thing. You know, I know that people breed snakes together and produce morphs, and I think the first generation of that stuff does okay, and then I think as they get further and further in, you start to see problems with that. But reptiles are really made to be able to reproduce and colonize and be able to take over an environment if it's good for them. And if there's a small population, they are able to breed with each other from the same clutch and not have the same issues that, you know, mammals or people would have, because they're just different, you know, from us and different from mammals. And I know that certain turtles, alligator snapping turtles, for example, you know, females can store sperm, and they can also have multiple males fertilize one clutch of eggs, so you would have diversity within that clutch. So I think that also is an adaptation that helps them survive and be able to reproduce and keep a population going, even if it's low. That's my best answer to that question. Another fantastic question. All right, the next one, Ace Trainer Zach. He has a really cool YouTube channel. Check him out. Know any good sources on how to grow more native vegetation for turtles in ponds? You know, I just grow whatever I can kind of get. You know, and in fact, even in my aquascape pond, a lot of this is actually non-native. You know, things like the, you know, obviously water hyacinth, water lettuce, those things are non-native. Things that I have that are native would be like your duckweeds and some of the underwater aquatic plants. But for me, the best thing has been to, my buddy actually works for the Atlanta Audubon, and he's able to find, you know, native plants, and he's able to walk through, you know, my backyard here and point out places where native plants would be, you know, beneficial and make sense. So if you have anybody close to you that's in one of those Audubon groups, they can get you the hookup on native plants, because they really want to encourage people to be growing native plants and create an actual native environment in their backyards, and that's really the best option. Ran the Russian tortoise. Coolest pet turtle. He says for him it's the loggerhead musk, mostly because of my videos. Well, I appreciate that, man. I'm not trying to sell people on loggerhead musks. I think that they're just awesome in themselves. They do make a good pet turtle, again, always by captive bred. They're fantastic. I can keep them out here in this habitat here, this amazing habitat here. And you can also keep them in a tub. You can keep them in an aquarium, and they have fantastic personality. They'll see you and they'll come running over, and they're awesome. So yeah, loggerhead musk turtles are great. For me, the coolest pet turtle, if I'm not including tortoises and we're talking strictly turtles, I'll go with loggerhead musk turtle. Really any of the kind of sternids, I really love those. Big fans of painted turtles, so I like those a lot. I'm a fan of snapping turtles. I just don't think they make good pets. They're a lot. They're really a lot. And then as tortoises go, I like all the really outgoing tortoises. I've become just really enamored with the redfoot and yellowfoot tortoises. Burmese mountain tortoises are probably if you're gonna take all of them together, I would say Burmese mountain tortoises are probably my overall favorite, because they're cold tolerant, they have personality, they're smart, they get big but not huge, and they're just really neat to interact with. So I think when they're willing to interact with you and you can really get kind of a window into that personality, I think that's huge. And I think that's something that, I think we as humans really like that, in the same way we like dogs and cats. The closer a turtle or tortoise can get towards having that kind of interaction, I think we end up liking that a lot. And to be fair, it's cool. What is my top 5 Asian species of turtles? Top 5 Asian. Well, definitely, probably going to be grandis, because I have grandis, but I would also include in there the Asian yellow-headed temple turtle, Chelosemes anandali. They're very closely related to the grandis. I got to see some of those in Thailand, and I think they're so cool. It'd be awesome to have one or two, someday, and just raise them alongside the grandis. They're just such cool animals. Asian big-headed turtles, I mean, they're kind of like mini alligator snappers that live in these cold mountain streams in Asia, and they're just fascinating. They're really good climbers. They have these big, awesome heads. I got to see some in Thailand, and they've always been a favorite. Malayan snail-eating turtles, another big megacephalic snail-crushing. They're kind of like a stink pot crossed with a map turtle. I think that's pretty cool. And then Asian tortoises, like elongated tortoises, and then mountain tortoises. And then what, does that leave one more? Can I count? I think that leaves one more. And that would just be Asian soft shells. I mean, Asian soft shells, especially the giant ones. I mean, you're talking like soft shells the size of an alligator snapper. I mean, does it get cooler than that? I don't think so. If I were to do runner-up, Asian box turtles. Jack's World of Wildlife, another guy with an awesome YouTube channel. Top 3 favorite turtles to encounter in the wild. So number 3 would be map turtles. I love snorkeling for Barber's map turtles. They're a big, bulky map turtle, almost the size of like a peninsular cooter, and then they have a huge head, and diving down and you're able to see a big female in a pool of water, and they just kind of stare at you. And then the males are like the opposite end of the spectrum, because they're so small. They're like a little sawback, and then they occupy a different environment, and they're just fascinating. Number 2 would probably be, honestly, I really like finding mud turtles, whether they're striped mud turtles or eastern mud turtles, because mud turtles can kind of, and I would put them there with chicken turtles too, because of the same habit. They'll go up on land for extended periods of time, so you won't always predictably find them in the water. So anytime I find a mud turtle, especially in Georgia or up in the Piedmont, it's a really big deal to me, just because they're so cryptic, and finding things that are cryptic is always fun, because it's a really kind of a random thing. And then number 1 is going to be my favorite, alligator snapping turtles. It's fun to trap them, but finding them when you're out hiking around in a creek and looking around in nooks and crannies, and you're able to find an alligator snapper, whether it's daytime or nighttime, I mean, I get a shot of adrenaline every single time. I get super excited. Yeah, they're my favorite. What are you gonna do? All right, so last question for this video, and this is a really good one, and this is from Turtle Keeping with Drew and Lou. And they ask, where does true turtle conservation start? And this is a really good question, because I think the word conservation gets thrown around a lot. And I think the true meaning behind conservation kind of gets lost in the mire there a little bit. I think people think just having some rare stuff at their house is conservation, and that's not really conservation. If you have you know, some kind of rare turtle or tortoise species and you have them at your house, and you know, say you're breeding them, well, that's not really conservation, that's preservation, which is still an important part of the whole. But you know, true conservation, I think, is preserving wild populations, stopping importation, stopping poaching, stopping things that are actually harming the wild population, because that's where they belong initially. These animals belong in the wild. Captivity is really secondary or even third. So for me, where true conservation starts is with education and making people aware, and you know, making people aware of a certain species plight or things that are going on with them, or making people aware that something even exists in their area. I mean, there's a lot of people don't even know what exists in their own backyard. So education is first, and then making people aware of what is going on with the species, what their status is, and then working forward from, okay, what do we do here? What can we do next? To me, that's where conservation starts. I always do education first. I love educating people and kind of sharing information. That's my thing. That's what I'm doing here. So that's where conservation starts. All right, so thank you guys so much for watching this video. You guys are awesome. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss these. Hit the like button. The more you hit that like button, the more it drives the algorithm and makes it easier on me to share with you. So thank you guys. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.